of this podcast. There's a baby right here.
Whole ass baby.
He's chilling. He is a well-behaved child. He's probably going to go sleep. But if you hear a baby crying, it's mine. He is not in danger. He is perfectly fine. He just needs to go to sleep. As he is looking at me like this.
Dad?
Dad, who you talking to?
Who is that?
Oh, shit. I just shook my whole fucking desk.
Dad. So, tonight, my vibration off so my phone's not exploding. We're talking about some deep shit.
Ooh, woo. I love deep shit.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Today?
Yeah, that's today. It's been a while since we did deep. Well, no, we didn't. It was the first episode we did a deep podcast. I mean, that wasn't that deep. I don't think so. Like, it was just
Well,
like.
I could always save the deep for the fourth episode.
Oh, yeah. Also, next podcast, which we might have to like plan out better than we planned out this one, because this is currently 12:34 in the morning. Because I have to get the wife's schedule and stuff for next weekend. And then I can like do much better. But yeah. We're going to do a lit podcast where I'm going to drink beer and Jacob's going
to drink beer.
Do whatever.
I'm also going to drink beer, actually.
Okay.
Or I'm like mixed drinks or something. I'm not buy some stuff to make drinks.
That's sicko. But yeah, that's next week. That's next week. We're going to try to do one like every fourth podcast or something. Just to kind of like inject fun into things. Also, if anyone is watching and you have any kind of questions, please feel free to put them in chat. We will answer them as we get to a stopping point or in between breaks or something. And also, this tuft of hair right here, this is really pissing me off because it won't go in my fucking bun because it's not long enough, and I don't have any fucking bobby pins to like pin my hair up, and it's just
it just keeps like falling behind your ear.
Well, like because when I can get it to stay back here, it's fine. But then like it falls forward and it's fucking pissing me off. I'm just
cut it.
Bitch, why you playing? Granted, I feel like my wife would wake up out of the dead sleep that she's in and like maul me to death.
It'd be like fucking Spidey sense. Happened.
I worked hard on that hair and you fucked it up. Wild shit. Okay. Also, I feel like I'm not tall. I'm gonna point this down a little bit.
I mean, you're not. I mean, I'm not really either, but
we're like the same. We're like the same height.
You are
yeah.
not tall. Yeah.
Like, especially like compared to my friends. Like all my friends are fucking like 6 feet tall, and there's like me. Dave's like 6'2". All my coworkers, all the dudes at work are taller than me.
New guy at work's like 6'4".
Yeah, and then it makes you it makes you feel small.
I guess this height, right? I was like, "What's your actual height, man? Like 6'4"?" And he was like, "Yep."
Oh, Dave is apparently 6'4".
Oh, nice. Welcome to the club.
Well, we're not a part of it. Yeah.
All right, so we're talking about supporting friends.
Well,
right? Is that where we want to start?
So let's start with. We're gonna start with like accountability because it all ties together.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by like accountability, I mean like how do you hold yourself to a standard and keep yourself accountable to a standard? Not just like in stuff you do, like some people hold themselves accountable to like streaming consistently or whatever, going to work consistently. But like, I'm talking like at work, having integrity, doing what you're supposed to do without people watching.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like
on your ass.
Right. Also, like your intentions behind doing stuff that involves other people. Like, are you like does your values, and are you being holding yourself accountable to your own values while you're interacting with other people?
Mm-hmm.
Like especially like we're in like a tumultuous time in like America, and I'm not going to really go into politics right now because like this is not that episode, you know what I mean? But this is just not that episode. But as a piece of news just for today, because today is November the 8th, as of right now, Joe Biden is the president-elect of the United States. He is the one that won the election by Electoral College, reaching over 270. As of right now, if anything changes past this point, I don't fucking know. I don't know. I just know that's the thing.
I'm not following the news right at this moment, so I don't really, you know. But yeah, like you're saying, like having integrity, making sure that what you're doing is for the right reasons. But a lot of times, like how do you do that? Like that's the hard part. It's like, because like a lot of times, like you don't even realize it, but you're like thinking about things for like selfish reasons, which isn't always a bad thing, but you also need to think about like how these selfish reasons, or you know, the selfish gain I would get from it, how is that going to affect the ones that I care about around me? You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely right.
That's kind of how I try to think about it, and it's hard to do, especially in the moment. Like it's hard to, like, I mean, I'm definitely not saying that like I'm perfect. Like I'm definitely guilty of still, like, if I could fuck somebody, I mean, not like royally fuck somebody over, but you know, like I'm getting the step ahead or something. I don't know. Like I've definitely been guilty of it, and I think a lot of people are.
And it's one of those things that like how far does accountability, I guess, go? And the reason why I say that is, like, if I am upfront with you, like say I ask you for $100, Jacob, and you give me $100, and you when I asked you for it, I'm like, bro, I'm probably not gonna pay this back. Like I'm not gonna pay this back. And you're just like, oh, it's chill. You give me $100, and then later you get mad that you gave me $100 after I told you I wasn't gonna pay you back because you expect to be paid back anyway. Like, whose fault is that? If I was upfront with you and I told you exactly where I stood and we stood per the agreement of the situation, like, why are you getting upset about it? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would definitely, in that scenario, I would be in the wrong. But, you know, I may not realize that I am. Maybe I was like, bro, like, you borrowed a fucking $100 from me. Like, I need that shit back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and not, you know, could just be completely oblivious to, you know, how that's affecting you, and then you're sitting on the other end like, bro, what the fuck? Like, you said it was cool. Like I told you, like I probably wasn't gonna be able to. You said it was fine.
Yeah, and then just money. People are very touchy about money anyway. But
it's hard not to be, because it's, you know, it's something you worked for and something you earned and something that is yours. It's hard not to. People are possessive by nature.
I've talked money, like exchanging of money specifically, into the, if I gave it to you, I'm down to lose it. You know, if you get it, I will only really
like,
be.
I was okay with losing this money. In the
right. Like if you're like, hey, bruh, like, can I borrow some money? And I'm like, okay, here. Like I expect nothing past that point. But if you hit me with the, hey, bruh, let me borrow some money, I'm gonna pay you back on payday. Like I will not aggressively pursue it, but every once in a while I'll ask you about it.
Yeah. Like if I didn't pay you back when I said I was going to.
Like like I said, I'm down to lose it, but if you told me that you're gonna pay me back, I'm gonna try to make sure that you keep your word. Because people, to me, I'm
holding you accountable.
Right. Like people's word to me matter. Like if you give me your word or you make a promise, like that matters to me. I'm very much a person that, like, if I make a promise, I tend to keep it.
Also note that it does. You don't always have to say, I promise or I give you my word for it to be given. Like if you're saying, in my opinion, it doesn't. Because like if you're telling me that you're going, like if you want to do something and you're gonna do something, and then you go completely against that, like it feels like betrayal
Mm-hmm.
in a way. Like it makes you feel like it's like, yo, what the fuck? You told me this one thing, and then you went and did like the complete opposite, and I don't know. It's just I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard to hold, like, really holding yourself accountable is either the hardest thing for you to do or the easiest thing for you to do. And there's really not a lot of middle ground because like sometimes you holding yourself accountable for your own actions is not necessarily the most positive thing for everybody. Like sometimes we've all said some hurtful shit in our lives, right? But sometimes like you have no intention for apologizing for that shit because you meant it.
Yeah.
Like you stand by your words. You are holding yourself accountable to your words. How you react to that on the other side of it is completely up to you. Yeah. But if I had to tell you some real shit and you didn't fucking like to be told some real shit, and then suddenly you got your feelings hurt because of it, I'm standing by what I said. Like I'm not changing shit.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you are responsible for how my words make you feel. Like you are, not me. Like
also,
that.
On the other end of that spectrum, on holding yourself accountable, you have to, also humble yourself. Not let yourself feel like, oh, well, like I'm such a good person because I'll hold myself accountable. Like, yeah, you are a good person, but you don't want to walk around like boasting that.
Boasting that you're so humble.
Yeah, because then it comes off as you're not being humble. Then it comes off as like a holier than thou type of attitude.
Wait, I mean,
like, I'm such a good person. I'm better than everybody else. Like that type of thing.
I mean, you and I both know people that they either do positive things or say positive things just for praise. That's really it. It's not that they're making a real difference or they're making a real change or they're making a true positive impact on a situation overall. It's one of those a lot of people like to quote karma. Like a lot of people like to say like, oh, karma's going to come back around. But the thing about karma that people do not realize is karma is about intention, not just the act. So if you do the right thing for the wrong reasons, you get
negative karma.
You get bad karma. Like, and if you do the wrong thing for the right reasons, like, what was I supposed to do? You know, people tend to overlook that point because they just like we live in such a selfish society that people look at. They want to project this image of themselves out so hard that, I mean, we've all seen the quote that floats around that like the version of you that people know is not you. It is a version that they have constructed given how you interact with them. Yeah. A lot of people might think you're cool as fuck because you've been chill with them, but a lot of people might think you're an asshole because you've been a prick to them or whatever.
Yeah. Because you've been an asshole.
It's just like anyone who's ever worked any kind of customer service or service industry or whatever, we've all interacted with that fucking super shitty customer that left a bad impression. And for all intents and purposes, to me in that moment and from now until the end of time, you're a piece of shit. Like, because you treated me like shit. So I'm just going to assume you're a shitty person.
This is just my fucking job, bro. And you treat me like shit for no fucking reason. Like, bro, I just fucking work here.
And a lot of times it's outside of my fucking control.
Yeah.
Imagine.
That. Like, that's corporate policy. I can't do anything about that.
Or, can you check the back? Bitch, ain't nothing in the back. There's nothing there.
Trust me, I've been back there.
Yeah. Holy shit. And so, and honestly, like, when it comes to customers and stuff, I'm pretty honest with like my interaction with them. Cause it's either like, hey bro, we ain't got it. Or I don't know where it is. Or something like it's
Hmm.
about also like I'm not going to do this because it inconveniences me.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Yeah, there's definitely been moments like that when I was in retail. And I mean, there's been a lot of times where I've been real with people, been like, yo, like, bro, I don't know if we ordered that shit. Like,
I don't know if we
times are
stock
rough,
this thing
right?
anymore. Right.
Yeah, I don't know if we got that on the way. Like, and if we do, I don't fucking know what it's gonna be here.
And even when it
Like,
gets here, I don't know
it's
when it's going to
scheduled
get
to
out.
be here on this day, but that doesn't always mean that's when it'll be here. So like, don't don't hold your breath. Might suffocate.
So like what like what is a way that you hold yourself accountable? Like what is something that you feel like you either actively or passively do to hold yourself accountable?
Mm. Well, I don't want to sound like tooting my own fucking horn because we just discussed not doing this. But a lot of times I like to try to, I guess, just being nice in general, trying to be more nice because I've definitely been an asshole to a lot of people, um, especially back in the day because I didn't fucking care because I was a rebellious teenager and uh, didn't care about my image. So like I was just a dick all the time. Um, I definitely remember getting lots of text messages. You're such an asshole. You're such an yeah. Like I know. Um, so I guess trying to repent on that. I'm trying to, even though I feel like no matter how much of that I could do, how much wrong I have done, because not just that, like that's definitely not the only bad thing I've done. But we're not gonna get into that. But no matter how much bad I've done, uh, I don't think that any amount of good I do will, because it definitely won't change it, but it won't make up for it. It won't make up for the damage I've already done to the people I've done it to. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I try to, just prevent myself from doing that to anyone else and try to be, nice to people. Um, just like small things here and there. Like when I see like people I don't know, just like ask them, how they're doing, how's their day going, shit like that. And, like holding doors open for people. And, if I'm walking behind somebody and they drop something, they don't see it, like I pick it up and like give it to them. I mean, I guess that's not really like, that's holding myself accountable in a way. Um, just in wait, like in the sense of preventing being unaccountable, I guess. Um, and like I said before, I do try to think about how what I'm going to do or what I'm going to say sometimes will affect said person or people around me. Like I try to keep a level head, I guess. But that's just kind of a general sense. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that's very specific. But that's just kind of how I generally try to deal with most everything in my life. What about you?
I strive to not lie. And I'm like, and I just
That's a good one.
like, and that's it. But like
That's fucking hard.
my definition of lying is like literally I will give you a straight answer of my perspective of the truth. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I am awful at keeping my own secrets, so I don't keep them. Like if you ask me any kind of direct question, I will give you a direct answer. Now, granted, because a lot of information that I carry with me involves other people, I'm getting better about telling people to mind their business about some certain shit, and it's very specific shit. A lot of that just is like my family and stuff like that. Like, bitch, you don't need to know fuck all about them. Like that's not your business. That's not your prerogative. All you need to know is that my kids are happy, healthy, and smart, and you can play hide and go fuck yourself past that.
Don't worry about the dynamic.
Right. Um, I am down to. I call out my peers for shit. Like I do. I'm not. I wouldn't. And the thing is like I would also not call myself confrontational. I'm just like, hey, bro, let me talk to you. Like, and then if it's like, if I felt like I did something wrong, I'll be like, hey, bro, let me talk to you. Like, yo, I feel like I fucked up, or I might have done some shit, or I might have said some shit, and like, yo, I'm not feeling like I feel like I came across wrong, or I did something wrong, and I'm just like, I'm gonna apologize to you about how I handled something. I know that one of the things I do at work is just like if I fuck up something and my boss is like, hey bro, what the fuck? I'd be like, you know what, man, I'm probably was having an off day, or I'm having an off day, or I didn't give it 100%. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be one of those people that's like, oh, it was fucked up, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not one of those people. Like, I'm just be like, yeah, you know what, boss, you right. Like, I didn't get, which a lot of people are taken aback by that. Like, cause they're genuinely surprised that you would sit there and be able to call yourself out. Like,
yeah, it's hard.
Like, whoa, what the fuck? Which, like, this is not bragging, because it took a long time to get to this point, but I had to center myself, and once I found my center, like, I exist in that state.
Yeah, and it's not like something you just like you just snap and like overnight, like you're instantly a better fucking person. You're better at what you're doing bad at. It's definitely something that takes process. And something that a friend of mine told me one time, when you're trying to stop doing something or stop thinking about it, the more you can like stop yourself and tell yourself like, whoa, hey, like slow down, like you're doing some crazy shit, the easier it becomes to not, like, especially like thinking about something. Like, I'm not trying to make it sound easy, because it's definitely not. But think about something like maybe something that makes you depressed, or something that's happened in the past, or blah 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 blah. You can like catch yourself and be like, whoa, hey, like, let's try not to think about this shit. Let's think about something else. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you still think about it anyway. But the more you can tell yourself to do that, the easier it becomes. And I feel like it's the same way with acts as well. Like, if you continue to, I don't know, I guess just treat somebody like shit. Like, if you can like catch yourself, be like, you know what, I'm kind of treating this person like an asshole. It'll be easier for you to not treat them like an asshole. It'll be easier for you to be nicer to that person,
or at least like truly neutral. Like you don't. The thing is like a lot of people like they chalk up every interaction to good or bad, but like sometimes you can just be neutral. Like sometimes you can just like have a level head and like have a conversation, and like I guess that's how like a personal relationship can dissolve, but you can still maintain a professional relationship as long as you come at it from the stance of like neutrality. Like you come at it with no negative energy, no anything. You're having a conversation about this specific topic, and if it wavers, you bring it back, or you stop the conversation like wholeheartedly. But Dave says, I expect confrontation from the other person holding me accountable so I can listen, make correction, and insert said corrections for later decisions I make in the future. And that is a pretty solid way to look at it.
That's very like open-minded.
And also he says selflessness can be equally as dangerous as selfishness. And I firmly agree with that point. Because
you stop caring about yourself. You start caring about, how can I please everyone else. You have to find a balance. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, it's okay to be selfish. Like, it's fine.
Everything's good in everything's good in moderation. It all depends. Like, and you can be selfishly selfless. I don't know if you can be selflessly selfish, but you can be selfishly selfish. If I want my friends to succeed and I have the resources that they need to do something, I can be selfless in so much as I give unto them so that they may succeed, and I just want them to succeed. So at my core, I am being selfish because them succeeding either A, brings me success, or B, makes me happy. And because of that I'm performing a selfless action. A lot of it, like, and this is not a negative statement I'm about to say, but like, if you think about how some people practice Christianity, it's very similar situation. A lot of people do good deeds because they believe that they will be rewarded on the other side of this life. Hence, the core of that belief system is selfish. You are being selfish because you are thinking in the long game, granted, how this will come back and impact you. But if from that action you can perform good deeds,
all of a sudden you're a good person.
Right. And that all depends on like where you weigh that person's heart, I guess, on that scale. Because depending on the action, like I can fuck with you doing something just because it conveniences you. Like I can fuck with that to a degree, but I can't fuck with the only reason why you do this stuff is because it benefits you. Like, it's one of those things that, like, yes, it's a great thing that billionaires give to charities. Charities exist for a reason, but like if they're doing it just for the tax write-off, like that's kind of fucking shitty.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's a thing, but I'm not an economics dude. I'm not a guy that makes the laws. I'm not the guy in the government. I don't know why the fuck that happens, but I think that that's kind of fucked up because at the end of the day, like you can give, like if I give anybody money, period, I don't get that money back, guarantee.
Yeah.
And I can't write that off.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, especially like as long as I've been streaming, my friends have surrounded me and supported me financially, like on my stream. I mean, you're one of the biggest contributors to my stream, and you're doing it because you want to, because you're like, yo, my boy's out here, and that's a great thing to do for somebody. But like if you were doing that just to flaunt that you had money, and then that would sour the situation, you know, like that would become very
some kind of other personal gain from it,
right? Which that does not in any shape, form, or fashion tie into this podcast. It exists because me and Jacob have known each other for like 100 years.
Long ass fucking time. It was like 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah.
I was like 12. I was like 12 or 13 when we met. So yeah, that'd be like 12 or 13 years ago. It's a long ass fucking time.
Another
We hated each other.
I never hated you. I
never
would
like hated you, but I remember specifically not liking him. Whenever I'd come to hang out with Ben and like you would be around, I'd be like, oh great, Thomas is here.
I could definitely see that. Because like everyone, especially like in your age group that came into the house at the time, like everyone I treated like a kid brother, and not everyone was necessarily receptive to that.
Yeah.
Shout out to my brothers that don't talk to me anymore. So it probably was fucking up. And that's one of the things that like it falls under like an umbrella of accountability, is because like I actively try to mend that relationship. I try, like, because like I mean we're siblings. Like I try to mend that, and I've attempted to mend my relationship with a lot of people because of the fact that like if I felt like I did them wrong, if I felt like if I might have said something or hurt them or any kind of way like that, like I'm going to try to reach out and correct it. A lot of accountability comes from self-reflection. A lot of people just don't like, sometimes, man, you look in the fucking mirror and like, you know, you see past like the physical and like you see you.
Well,
and
another thing too is that there are people out there that don't have like an inner monologue. Like they don't talk to themselves, like they can't, like they just are somehow born not able to do that. And I think that that's extremely bizarre, and
It
I feel
is.
like that I know a lot of people that are probably like that just because of I guess how they act. I mean, maybe that's judgmental and assuming, but I guess it's kind of seen that way because it's like you don't think about what you're doing and how it affects you or anyone else. You're just doing.
Just doing without thinking. Mm-hmm. Apparently, a side effect of that is people can't read books. Reading books is hard. Like reading books for recreation.
Yeah, because you don't have that inner head, or that inner...
The mind's eye?
The inner voice. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, like an inner voice reading it for you. Because I know, when I read, I have, my narration voice. And then I, have my different voices for the characters.
I mean...
whenever I'm reading, what they actually say.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm just reading, the stuff that's not people talking, I have, a different voice. I don't know. I have, a specific...
It, defaults to your voice, and then, you switch character voices and stuff like that.
It's, it's like a weird... I don't know. I'm weird when I read. Because I like to, just dive into it. I'm actually having, a narrated to me. That's not me,
Mm-hmm. Speaking of how long that we've known each other, let's talk about other friends. Let's talk about, and not anyone in specifics, more in general. Let's talk about how when did you realize certain friends weren't either really your friends or they were really toxic, or at the end of the day they were not really there for you. What is some those kind of say
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, I guess it's really hard. It depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people, they show their colors immediately. Some people will be your best friend, and then a few years down the road, they do some fucked up shit. Kick you out twice.
I mean, I'm laughing because it's fucked up, not because it's funny.
No, I know. And it's fucked up. And that's why I'm not friends with that particular person anymore. And I was friends with him damn near the same amount of times I've been friends with you. Well, I've known him that long. I wouldn't necessarily say we were friends for that long.
Right.
There was definitely a period of time where we just went our separate ways and we're not in contact with each other, and then came back together.
Mm.
I mean, then there's also friends that I've known since I was 5 that have recently shown their colors. And it's hard to tell sometimes. It's really hard to tell.
A lot of that, especially this was a very socially tumultuous year. We had COVID roll through, and then it was did you take COVID seriously or not?
Yeah.
And then you had the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and where did you stand on that line? Which honestly, I don't know. If you did not support the movement, I do not understand you at all. We have a fundamental disagreement. And because we went through a time of I guess eye-opening experiences. Realizing what was happening greater than your bubble, because a lot of people live in a bubble, which is why society is what it is now.
Because a lot of those instances were happening, in small towns. People are yo, I used to live here. Yo, I do live here. This is fucking nuts that the community that I fucking sleep in is like this.
Because a lot of, you would be surprised how often you would make excuses for people. Especially you and I were both fucking kids that played Xbox at the turn of the 2000s, and we were those shitty kids online that were saying expletives all over the fucking place and calling you everything under the fucking sun because we were trying to be edgy or we thought it was funny or whatever. And then
cool.
And then
it made us feel better, whatever.
And then you come to that realization of bro, what the fuck am I doing? You're like, what? Why? And it was just like, I cut, like, think about cutting like 5 words out of your vocabulary, just 5 words. But those 5 words are mad, hateful fucking words. And like, they're hateful to people that aren't you. Like, they're hateful to actually a demographic that, one, you don't belong to most of the time. Sometimes, maybe you do sometimes, I don't know. But these words are used as a sword against them. They're used specifically to hurt. There's nothing, they're not descriptive. They're not anything. They're literally they just exist to hurt people, to get a right, to provoke them. So like, why continue, right? And when I was like, yo, this is not cool, then you realize, like, if you choose to decide it's not cool and then you stay silent on it, you're complacent. Like, you're complacent and you feed the problem. Like, if you decide that you're not going to stand for something, or you're going to hold yourself to a standard, you should hold your circle to a standard. Like, and if your circle is not held to that standard, maybe they shouldn't be around you. I know one of the things that was
you shouldn't be around them.
I know one of the things that, like, I had a major falling out with one of my, probably one of the greatest friends I've ever had in life, and it was only because, like, I fundamentally disagreed with how much she drank. She drank a lot. Now, granted, she was in a position of life where that's perfectly fine for her. Like, it's not a bad thing that she's doing this. But I was at a crossroads of life where I just had my second child. Like, I cannot be this person anymore. I have to, like, we can vibe, but like you can't be around my kids. But if you can't, and then I had if you can't be around the kids, why am I fucking with you? And like, that was hard. That was a hard experience for me to go through. And honestly, like, I wish her well. I hope she's doing great in life. But there was a crossroads and we had to cross it. Like, one went one way and one went the other. And there was probably hard feelings and bad blood at the time. I don't know if it exists now, but I know I don't have any. I choose not to hold grudges per se. Like, I remember shit. Like, and I remember that I won't forgive some shit either. Like, I had another falling out with a friend over something that I genuinely don't know what it was. I don't know. I don't know what the thing was. But apparently, I'm not a person anymore. And that's fine. Like, that's fine. Whatever. If you're going to, keep that same energy,
Well, I mean, I know we've had instances where we've gone, months, years, whatever, without talking to each other, and then just, hey, Thomas, how you doing? Hey, Jacob, what's going on? And we're hanging out again.
Like a disconnect because life is busy, and a disconnect simply because I've chose that you are no longer a person, or I feel like you've wronged me, is not the same thing. Sure. Yeah. Which I invite anybody that ever feels like I've wronged them to, like, talk to me about it, like, to have that conversation with me. I'm down to have it. I'm always down to have it. It's always rough, and I'm going to be defensive, of course, because being confronted with anything, you're going to be defensive. Right. But I can assure you that on the other side, I will hear you and I will validate you. And even if we don't come to an understanding, like, you tried and we did the thing, But then, like, when you realize that your friends are toxic, like, they're just shitty people, Yeah. And hide behind the fact that, or you make excuses because you've been friends for several years.
Yeah.
Like, some friends I've had for 150 years, and it's like, bro, if I match your energy just one time, suddenly you don't fuck with me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes,
like that.
and sometimes, like, and what's wild is, like, I don't think I've ever been approached being okay. Actually, I have been approached being the toxic friend. That situation was I was friends with a girl and I was really into her, but she wasn't into me. And, you know, I was trying to push my feelings on her. And she was like, hey, bro, stop. Like either stop or we can't be friends. And, you know, in the moment you're like, oh, what the fuck? But like you realize later, you're like, man, that's kind of shitty. Like that's shitty that I'm doing that to somebody. Like that's honestly like that's the most toxic I can remember me being this was in my late teenage years. So it was about 10 years ago. I was too much. I staked my existence on other people and the burden of my life should be no one but mine, you know? And I was pushing all that out on several people and that's not fair, you know? But then you have like, I've never been actually. And another thing I did, which I admit to, was I was in my friend's girl's DMs in high school, but like girl wasn't giving me time of day, so it's fine. Like it was not like I was having an affair, you know. It wasn't anything like that. It was just I was in her DMs, and I'm like, hey, if y'all ever break up, you're like, yo, I'm right here. Which that's shitty. That's shitty. Like you should never fucking do that. But like I admit to that, and I've admitted to the person that like I did that with or did that to. Well, and we squashed that years ago.
But something else too that I keep thinking about is identifying toxicity, because it's very hard and it varies from person to person. You know, because if you can't identify it, you're just gonna be around it, and you're just gonna be stuck around it, and it's gonna continue to make you feel like shit. And that's something that's big for me as I start to think about, well, how does this person, how they act around me or towards me, make me feel? Because feelings are important. It's not. Well, I mean, I guess here recently in the world, it's not so much as people are looking at it as like, oh, you're a fucking pussy if you show your feelings or talk about your feelings or express your feelings or whatever. It's definitely becoming more normalized now, especially for men. But you have to think about how it makes you feel. You have to think about, you know, how it affects you on a daily basis, and how it affects you in the long run, how it affects you in the short run. Because it's really fucking hard to identify. Like, I put up with a lot of shit for a lot of years before I finally realized, like, oh my god, like, I'm tired of fucking hearing the same shit, like, over and over again, like, different words, but basically, essentially, the core of it is the same. And I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of being made to feel like this by people who aren't supposed to be my friends. And then when I call you out on it, all of a sudden, I'm the asshole, and you didn't do anything wrong, and oh, you know, that's just how, you know, I treat my friends or whatever. It's like, well, that's kind of shitty. Like, if you treat your friends that way, like, I don't think I want to be your friend anymore.
Or they bank on the length of friendship on why it should be okay that they do this.
Yeah, well, I've known you for forever. Like, I've known you since we were 6. Like, okay.
So
It does not make it okay. It does not make it okay for you to be an asshole. It's an excuse, sure, but it does not make it okay, and that does not mean that I have to tolerate it. But it's hard to, like I said, it's different from person to person.
And it's hard to admit that.
It's hard to tell, and it's hard to tell somebody that, like, hey, this person is being toxic to you, because to them, it may not feel that. It may genuinely not feel that way.
It's just like people come in, like, if you think about like what you would identify as toxic behavior, right? Not the things you identify, but just like the action of. Okay, so like there's families that for multi-generational families that are fucking racist as shit. Okay? Think about that. You are a kid in that household, and then suddenly, you know what? You realize racism is fucking trash. Suddenly you're toxic. Like, you're toxic and to that family, in that family.
I've been there too.
and
I mean, I am there.
so sometimes being toxic is okay. Like, sometimes being toxic and standing by certain things or going against the grain or, you know, standing up for what you believe in or what you represent, like, is toxic behavior. It depends on what the majority in the situation would deem as toxic or whatever. It kind of like folds into the whole like people are complacent point, because people don't want the status quo broken for shit. Like, they just they don't. They want to believe that
people don't like change.
People don't like having their bubble bursted.
People don't like reality. A lot of people live in a fantasy.
People don't like to be subject to other people's reality.
Also that.
Like, just because you have a black best friend does not mean that you are not prejudiced in any kind of way. Just because you have a gay friend does not make you homophobic. Like, you can be homophobic.
And still have a gay best friend. And also, and on the other side of the spectrum, having a gay best friend does, contrary to popular belief, does not make you fucking gay. Just like having a black best friend does not make you black. That's not. I don't even want to get in this.
So Matt raises the point of, it's super important to share your feelings, but I don't care what people's feeling for people. I don't care about people's feelings for the most part. If I don't care about you, that is. If it's friends, obviously I care, but if you're an ass to me and everyone around you, I could care less about your feelings. And that folds into the perception of a person situation. Like, if my perception of you,
that's still valid too. It's still a valid feeling to have.
Because the thing is like, I'm sorry, we all have like, if you treat the mind or the soul or whatever like a battery, there's finite space in there. You cannot carry the burden of the world on top of you. It is actually physically impossible. You will be a mental and emotional wreck from now until the end of time. Yes, you should stand up. Yes, you should stand up for what you believe in. Yes, you should do the right thing from what you perceive as the right thing. And sometimes doing the right thing ain't doing the right thing. Treat others how you want to be treated. Map says he carries that shit to heart. I carry that shit to a point.
Until I'm not given that same respect.
It's just like
it kind of does go hand in hand with respect. Like, if you don't, like, I'll respect you, but at the moment you disrespect me, I will no longer respect you.
Well,
you will have my full disrespect as well.
And that kind of ties
Unless
into the
like unintentional, and we talk about it, whatever.
That ties into the point of like we've all seen like the post that circulated in the past several months about like what the definition of respect is. Older people, the boomer generation, what have you, like they treat respect as authority. Your respect, you showing them respect, is treating them as an authority. Our generation is more like, you respect me as a person and my individuality. And so when you disrespect, if you do not treat them as an authority, they do not treat you as a person, and both examples are of disrespect.
Yeah.
But one is definitely more fucked than the other one. Because if you don't treat someone like a person, like, you're a piece of shit. They could be a shitty person and you can treat them like a shit person. But like, if you stop treating them like a person, you have failed your part in the human race. Now, granted, pedophiles do not apply to this point because they're not fucking people.
Also that.
if you don't respect me, why should I give you any kind of respect? I can save face, that's fine. But if I don't like you and it's brought up, I'll bring that up. Other than that, that's it, is what Matt
Yeah,
says.
and that's basically what I was saying as well. Like, I give that, like, I give people that benefit of the doubt. Like, if it's someone I've never met, you know, and I know nothing about this person. Now, you know, because it could be someone I've never met, but I've been told things about this person. Maybe, stuff that could be hearsay, and I can make my own judgment on that. But sometimes it's been like actual facts of things that this person has said or done, and then I meet this person, and I'm like, and I already have this image of them in my head. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and so it's hard to give instant respect at that point. But then it also depends on how they treat you when you meet them. Because that just because they said or did this thing to this person doesn't mean that they'll necessarily treat you that way. And that doesn't mean that you have to, just because they gave you respect, it does not mean that you are, obligated to give them respect back, because you make that own image of that person in your head depending on what they've done, because that plays into your morals and your values and how you see what is a good or bad person.
Mhm.
um and how in your head, how you would think you should treat someone who is a good or bad person. You know what I mean? But if it's someone that you've never met before, or I've never met before, I usually try to give them that immediate respect up until the point that I felt disrespected by that person, and then I'm immediately sorry, fuck you. You are
Fuck.
now immediately a shithead on my list.
I think my random interaction with people, like, granted, I was like, of course, I was raised in the South, whatever. So I'm like, hey, sir, how you doing? Or hey, ma'am, how you doing? And especially like, and it's one of those things that, like, as you think about it, like, why is respect tied up so much to acts of service?
Hmm.
And like, that's the kind of like the weird thing. Like everyone, like, take your parents for example. Like, your parents have probably said that you've disrespected them at least one time in life, and it was because you did not do something that they told you to do.
Yeah.
But that I could have all the respect for you in the world and still not do what you told me,
Tell me to. Yeah.
and me, like, to me, that not be an act of disrespect,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
I guess it is a little different with your actual mom and dad, um, because being a parent, like, how it feels when you tell your kid not to do something and they don't do it, and you're like, you know what I mean?
But
It's frustrating.
well, we are
But that doesn't
making
mean
it
that
a,
your kid is disrespecting you.
like, we are currently working on getting better about the kids telling us no. Like, having the right to say no. Like, if I ask you to do something, you say no, I have to be like, okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. For me, like, it's hard though, because it sometimes it gets to a point where it's like, okay, well, this is something you can't really say no to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if like we're going out to eat, say like me and my parents, like, I've got the kids, and me and my parents are gonna go out to eat. We're gonna take the kids with us, and we're going. I'm like, okay, come on, like, get your shoes on. We're going to the restaurant, and Jasper's like, no. I'm like, well, kind of don't
You kind of
really
have
have
to.
a choice
No, yeah.
in this moment. So there's as a parent, there's times where you have to know when that's the time to let them say no or not. Um, and if it's something that's like a responsibility of theirs, like maybe a chore, or
just generally cleaning up after themselves, and having like hygiene and stuff. Like I try not to let my kids tell me no when it comes to stuff like that. But it's if I'm like, yo, go, Jasper, can you go grab this for me? And he's like, no. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll go get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be like, no, what the, go get that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be like, okay, whatever, I'll go get it.
Map
But
said,
I'm like, brush your fucking teeth, and he's like, no. I'm like, brush
brush your fucking teeth. Map says, for instance, I have mutual respect for Jacob, even though we don't really talk that much and haven't for a long while. Yet I could have a full-blown conversation with him and be completely respectful to him because we have that mutual respect.
Right.
And like being able to talk to someone and treat them as a peer, as an equal, I think our generation like excels really well at that. Like if you take a group of people our age and put them in a room, you will most of the time, outside of fringe cases, not see them completely like rip each other apart, like come at each other sideways and stuff. Like, man, like
at least not at first,
and especially not intentionally, like because
because somebody may say something that because if you don't know everything about everybody,
right?
So you could say something that struck a nerve in somebody, and they just snap. Something that's like really dear to their heart, and you just said something completely negative about
or especially like we live
something of their past, or
we
bad was okay, or whatever.
We live in the time where trans identity like is actually being taken seriously, which bless, I'm here for trans people. And if some people react mad negatively to have for a trans person to correct their pronouns. Like if I say, "Hey man, how's it going?" and he's like, or she's like, "Actually, I'm a woman." They're not like, oh, it's a bigger step for people now to be like, oh, oh, my fault. I did not mean it.
Yeah,
a lot of people will be like, man, what the fuck? Now, granted, we live in the fucking deep South, so like that's a little rough.
Yeah,
that's a little rough around here specifically. But
it's wild that the people in the South can't relate to that. Because think of how many times you've talked to an elderly man and called him ma'am on accident, or accidentally said sir to an elderly woman, and they got fucking pissed. Like, I'm not a man, or I'm not a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally the exact same situation. So it's bananas to me that the older generation can't perceive that. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like you literally have a relation to it. Like, I know you've been in that spot before at some point in your life. You're like, yo, that's not my that's not what I am. It's not what I identify as. Literally the exact same fucking thing. I was like, how do you not? I don't know.
How can you not have that baseline respect for another person?
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's very baseline.
Just because you think for any reason that it's wrong when it's not.
Map actually says he had this happen to him last night.
Someone called him a woman. Or whatever.
He says, I met a streamer and we started hanging out after their stream, and I called her by a female pronoun, and they were like, I'm sorry, I actually go by they, them pronouns. Okay, and I quickly said, oh, I'm sorry, and started calling them by their preferred pronouns. And to accept correction is very big, and I actually, it shouldn't, which is one of those things. It's like I was going to say it's very big of people, but it shouldn't be very big of people. Like, that should be normal. Like it's normal for you to talk to someone how they prefer to be talked to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's fucking wild. People suck. Yeah. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought it was strange. I thought it was, honestly, if I'm gonna be 100% honest, I thought it was fucking dumb. I was like, that's stupid. No, y'all are idiots. And like, the more that I learned about it, the more I was like, no, actually, I'm the fucking idiot. I'm fucking stupid, because there's nothing wrong with people wanting to be who they are.
Like it's rough to identify. Like it's rough to open your mind, because the thing is the world exists outside of your own head.
That's the key.
Like,
you are not the center of the universe or the earth or your city.
Map says, well, it was foreign, so it was going to be a little strange since it was out of the norm at the time. But now it would be considered a norm. I mean, if you think about it, like 70 years ago, black people being able to work in the same building as you was wild.
Yeah.
Like, and now it's normal because we are all fucking people. And we should just treat people like fucking people unless proven otherwise. Like, granted, pedophiles like do not count on this fucking list.
Yeah.
Like, they're shit. Hang them up by the lamppost. Rapists as well.
I'll go to hell just to torture them motherfuckers. I mean,
I am excited and hopeful for the future because we as a people are being very progressive.
yeah.
We are pushing.
And that's not just America. Even like we're actually slacking.
Yeah.
America's slacking. Everybody else is progressing harder than we are.
Like just to
But as a human race.
Well, and it's crazy. Mr. Rick gets out of prison this year. Yo, get the Diego bag, boys. It's one of those things that like we as a country that value freedom and civil liberties as much as we do. Why do we have so much pushback for people to maintain their civil liberty of self-identity?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And I think that we can stand to do much better about that. And I'm glad that I am surrounding myself with people that agree with me on that standpoint. Like, we can disagree on some political things, we can disagree on a lot of things, but like this is one of the things that I will not stand for disagreement on. Like, letting a person be a person and be who they want to be, regardless of who they were when they were born or where they came from. Like, I feel like that's the basic shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. 100%. Because like, how would you feel if you were called out your name or out of who you are, or someone talks shit about like, well, I guess it would really depend on how much of an attachment you had to it. But if someone was like talking shit about like your hometown or old friends of yours or something, but if you did have attachment to them, like it definitely would make you feel good. And a lot of people do have attachments like that, especially if it's talking about who the fuck you are as a person and what you identify as. Like, it hurts people's feelings. Like, how can you? I don't understand how people can just not care that much about how they treat someone just because they're different. Whether they're black, whether they're Mexican or trans or gay or lesbian, whatever. Like, it blows my fucking mind.
And also, I hate people that hide behind faith to argue their point. Like,
oh yeah, that's a big thing right now too, is explain to me, what is it? Tell me why gay marriage should be illegal without using religion. You can't. There is absolutely no reason.
And the thing,
that's a huge thing going around right now.
And the thing is like, I can respect. I don't have to agree, but I can respect a church declining to have you perform a gay marriage service at their church. I can understand where they're coming from. Do I agree with that assessment? No, but I think that if a church is declining for you to do that, just go to somewhere else. Like, find a different venue, find a different avenue, whatever. They should be able to tell you no, but that does not make them right.
Right.
But they should be able to tell you no.
But they do have their right to tell you no.
It's just like the gay wedding cake thing. Like, I do not agree with the store owner not making the cake. Like, I do not agree with that based off of prejudice alone. However, they reserve the right to say no. And honestly, like, why would I even want to pressure you into doing it if you've told me no simply because I'm gay? I'd go somewhere else. Fuck you. And I'd tell everyone I fucking know that you leave them a 1-star review on Yelp because they're a bunch of pieces of fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to do that. Sometimes word of mouth is enough.
Yeah.
When you tell 5 people, they tell 5 people, and they tell 5 people. Like, that's already a lot of fucking people.
Ain't nothing worse for a business than having their reputation ruined. But making them change to suit you is not the right way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it is not to me, it's not a victory. Acceptance is not doing something through gritted teeth. Acceptance is acceptance, full stop. And if you do not accept, like, you should always understand that if there's no room for growth in that situation, you don't pursue. Like, or at least that's my belief. Once you have proven to me that you are not willing to change at all about accepting people for who they are, like, you're shit.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like, it takes nothing to stand with somebody and let them live their life how they want to. And even if you don't agree with how their life is being lived, like, just letting them do that. It takes more effort to be an ass than to not be an ass. Because, like, literally you could just say nothing and you're suddenly not an ass.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot what we were talking about not too terribly long ago, but, like, there was some kind of post on Facebook that you made, and one of your friends, like, came up to literally just to tear you down. And it's like,
yeah, it was I had shared actually my stream on my Facebook, and two friends, one of them said, yeah, friends. We use that term loosely. One of them said something along the lines of, why would I do that when I could just play the game?
mm-hmm.
And that's, first of all, that's dumb, because not only are you coming here and, like, being negative, you're also, like, realize, like, some people don't have that fucking game, and they want to play it vicariously through a streamer or through someone, and that's why Let's Plays are so popular.
Mm-hmm.
Because people can't get said game. They don't have the means to, but they have the internet, and they can play vicariously through somebody else. And then the second friend came in there and was just said, I would rather drink a bowl of lava. And I was like, wow. And I remember replying to him, and I was like, then do it and die. Like, and you would rather do that than do that.
And that's,
like, fuck.
That's such a wild thing to me. Like,
if you're my friend, why are you coming in here being negative?
Well, also, like,
and what fucked up for me is that wasn't even the straw. I mean, that was when I kind of started realizing the toxicity, but it wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back, which is, a fault of my own. But,
it's one of those things that, like, why is it so weird to be supportive of those you care about? Like, why is that so strange? You don't have to understand shit to be supportive. Dave comes in here and watches us play Smite all the fucking time. Do you think Dave knows how to fucking play Smite? Fuck no. Fuck no. He doesn't know how to play Smite. He's
out here supporting you.
And it just off the strength of, we're friends. I'm gonna hang out with you. Which is a lot of where like small streamers come from, is like their friends just want to hang or they want to vibe, and like, well, I'm just gonna stream this game. Like, oh, cool, I'll hang out while you do your thing.
And it is like hanging out.
It genuinely, that's all it is. It's just chilling.
I remember, like James, like, you know, he joined the military, moved to a gas station in Hawaii, and he started streaming RuneScape. And I was like, well, you know, I used to play RuneScape. You know, like I used to actually play with James. Like he was my RuneScape buddy way back in the day. And shout out to like playing old school RuneScape when it was fresh. But like with him, like it was like hanging out. Like I just started hopping in his stream and just talked to him in his stream. And I remember specifically saying to him, like, yo, this is like hanging, like it feels like I'm hanging out with you again. This is really cool. And he was like, yeah, I feel the same way.
And especially like when you can put a name to, or face to a name, like a lot of my friends come through here, and I've actually met people that have become my friends because of streaming.
At Refined.
Refined was, I met Refined because someone else was streaming, which is wild. But
oh yeah, well,
but like it's
well,
why.
But then he started watching you, and that's how we all became friends with him, was because he started watching you. Yeah,
and like it takes no effort to just, if you choose not to support someone, like silence is typically the answer. Like you don't have to be negative, you can just be silent and
just not say anything.
And that's like I make posts. I make posts in several places, like when I go live, and like I don't get impressions. Like, bruh, I've literally looked at my foot traffic and it's fucking super small. Like, and that doesn't matter to me because silence is okay. But if you're just coming at my stuff to just talk shit, like, wow, what the fuck, dude? Like, that's wild. Like, yeah, we've all interacted with internet trolls and all sorts of other shit. But like, that specifically, especially if I know you, is like, what the, bro? Why?
Why are you being a dick?
Why are you being a dick? Why are you such a prick? Like. And it takes, and it doesn't just apply to streaming, like, and you don't even have to support anyone monetarily. Like, you can either give something a chance, or like your friend's making music, like listen to their music, share, even just like how much effort does it take to share a video on Facebook?
Click.
Like it takes that much effort. It literally takes that much effort. So like, if my friends make stuff, I'll be like, oh, I'll share this. Oh, I'll do this. Like, I don't know, even if like, I typically like to have a very solid relationship with people before I'm critical of their stuff. But typically, like, I can say, I've like worded the way to say, hey, this isn't to my taste, but I support you. And that matters. Like, even just that act, like, look, like, you know, like, I'm not a super huge like hip hop fan, but like, you know, if you're out here like dropping bars and shit, like I'm down to listen. I'm down to like help. I'm down to share it. I'm down to play it, listen to it, give feedback. I'm down for all that shit.
Yeah.
You know, I know a guy, like, actually, if you ever hear of it's Florida, it's pronounced Florida Jimmy, but it looks Flaw Jimmy. On Facebook or on YouTube, he is a rapper from Florida. I know him. I used to give him rides to work. I know him. So whenever he posts some stuff, like I'll share his shit. Like I listen to it when I can, because, you know, we've all had that moment of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give this a listen, and then you don't. But I try, but I also try to like do my part to like maybe kick it to somebody who can give it more time than I can. Because we were boys, we were pretty close. And if this is what he wants to do with his life, why should I not support him? Like, because like we live in an age where like if we knew anyone that was to become a professional like football player, like, you would try to verbally suck that dude's dick all the time because he's blowing up and making your town famous and this, that, and the third. But, or maybe just like get a connect to get put on or whatever. Like we have watched people do that. So like, what is the difference in just, this is something that they like to do, so just support them. Like I literally, 2 days ago, I got the big,
it's not something that's the norm.
Like 2 days ago, I got literally the biggest raid in my life from someone that I actually look up to. Shout out to Tom F. Battinger. You're the fucking greatest. I'm going to clip this and send this to you. But, I really look up to this guy, and I could have gotten 1,000 viewer raid, and that would have been wild, right? But I got a 93 person raid from a person I look up to, and that was worth everything in gold.
Yeah.
And I have friends that don't care, that are in the same field even, that are even also trying to be out here and make it as a streamer. And they don't give a fuck. Because this didn't happen to them, so why do they care? Yeah. And that's fucked up. Because, like
that'd be like the equivalent of if I was like, dude, fucking Markiplier just fucking hosted me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be freaking the fuck out. And it would be the same kind of reaction. Maybe F. Dot's not as big as Markiplier, but, I mean, he's pretty big. I'm just like, he's bigger than fucking me and you.
Right?
Like, fucking big. But like, it would be the same kind of thing. Like, I would expect you to have more or less the same reaction I had when you told me, like, yo, that's fucking tight. Like, that's sick as fuck. Like, you wouldn't be like, damn, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't say it with like in the back of the head. You're like, I wish that was me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, even if I do wish it, because everyone wishes the success on themselves.
I mean, everyone does it a little bit.
But like, when something great happens to your boy, why can you not be happy for your boy? Like, right? Like, you and I talk at length like all the time, and as well as I do, it right now at this point in time is quite literally probably the highest point of my life, period. Like, in 27 years of life, this is probably the best. And this has literally happened in the last couple of weeks. Like, I got
like one thing after another.
It was my wife got a well-paying job, like I got a raise at work, F. Dot hosted me. Like, after my stream I had established consistency, and I've experienced growth. Like, all these great things are falling into place because I'm putting in, I meme and say God's plan, but I've been putting the work in. Yeah. And it's wild that like you try to share that excitement with people, because I wasn't trying to boast. Like, I wasn't trying to be that guy that like,
I didn't think so.
Like, hey, I'm the guy. Like, I was like, yo guys, this thing really happened, and I'm so excited. And I was met with like radio silence from people that like I would assume are my close friends, but like, you can wait and message my wife about your own shit. But you can't be hyped for my shit. Like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. Get out of my wife's DMs. But it's just one of those, like, I realized a couple of years ago, because I actually I tried to start like an org, and it was called Lux Septima, and I actually still own the branding for it. So shout out to me for thinking ahead. And one of the reasons like that came to a screeching halt is people stopped trying. People didn't want to. They wanted to feed the success, but they didn't want to work.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm talking like.
Personally, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I liked the idea, but I was not like, and I mean, I wasn't really in a position to do anything. But like, I was like,
like in my head, I've been really like, man, that sounds like a lot. Like I don't know, like I can do this. And I think at one point I did tell you like, yo, like I don't.
This isn't
Like,
for me.
yeah, because I was like, yo, like this is a lot right now.
This sounds like work, and I don't have the time or the capacity to put that work in right now. Yeah. And like, who knows? Maybe I'll revisit the brand. Like, who knows? But if I ever slot
PlayStation gaming.
Oh yeah. And if I decide to slot people into this brand, I will remember who was here when there was nothing. I will not try to have a team going in. I will slot people on the back end. Because I'm not going to burn myself again by because I quite literally put like $2,000 into it via like commissioning artists, getting the branding all set up, like all that kind of shit, investing in other people so that they had like the tech that they needed and all sorts of other shit, the games, the whatever. And then suddenly like you're getting hit with the fucking hottest. Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah, I got nothing. Oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, that. And it's like, bro, come on. Really, dude? And it just
sucks. But it's hard too because, you know, and as much as it sucks and as much as it negatively affected you, it's hard to not think about, you know, what is this person going through? You know, what's going on in their life that, you know, is keeping them from doing this because, you know, it seemed like they were so interested and now all of a sudden they're not, you know.
Right. And honestly, like.
But it also, on the other end, it could be they just didn't give a fuck or they got what they wanted out of it and they were.
And dip, yeah. And like that's the like the tipping point, or that's the razor's edge that you have to wield to like do something, pursue something as a group, or be taken advantage of. Like that's the fine line that you have to like navigate, because sometimes your friends will just take advantage of you. I mean, granted that in that situation, they're not really your friends and they're just someone that's taking advantage of you. But sometimes your quote friends or the circle that you surround yourself with will just take advantage of you. They'll just be out here to get what they can from you and then dip. You know, there's a lot going on, especially right now, about like people don't value you unless you provide something for them. And to me, friendship is always supposed to have been about all you have to provide is the act of friendship itself, having someone to talk to, being a confidant, being a friend to them, you know, experiencing life with them, sharing your experiences together, picking each other up through hardships, stuff like that. And it's
accomplishments.
And the thing is people don't want to share accomplishments. Like I feel like they'll walk.
Sometimes it turns into a dick swinging contest.
Which there is a thing of like friendly competitiveness where like you're racing to see who you're pushing each other to be better. You know, the old adage is iron sharpens iron, and that's used a lot in like physical sports, traditional sports, of you push each other to reach your peak. And that's something that I try to do with my friends, is push them to reach their what potential I see in them, because I have a group of friends now that there's potential in everyone. It's just executing the potential. And sometimes like getting to that point of executing the potential is hard, whether it be like having to overcome personal issues or family issues or even financial issues. Getting to the point of reaching your potential, reaching your pure state of like, yo, my life is actually like growing, and I am growing, and I am becoming better, and I'm becoming the better version of myself. And a lot of people just they don't surround themselves with those kind of people. Like they decide not to. And for whatever reason, I don't know, but it's wild. Like it's wild that it hurts to think about. I can't share these experiences with people that literally they're right here. Like they're not gone. They're not dead. but they don't want to share these experiences with me because I'm growing and they're not, you know, like that's always awful.
Yeah, that always sucks.
Because like I feel like even in the past couple months, like you and I've grown a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've stood your ground about certain things. You have grown in terms of you've realized who you have surrounded yourself with and not wanting to surround yourself with that shit anymore. You've you've put in that work at work. You are pursuing relationships that 8 months ago you definitely wouldn't have because you would have been too
tied up on my ex.
Too tied up, too hung up, to whatever to do. And like we're going into the new year with much more positive and stronger energy than before. And like it's sad that like the friends that we had that got us, I wouldn't say got us this far, because honestly everywhere you go in life you make your own way. Like even if someone helps provide the way, like you've made it.
But they got us through things that we've been through. You know, they were there, you know.
And just to not have them here, like that sucks. But you know, sometimes all you can do is drink a beer, remember the good times, and keep it pushing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
old one with the boys.
Grow without them, and not necessarily hold a grudge, but remember when these people come back that you are not who you were when they left.
What was that you told me? Remember the bond, but don't forget the disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's okay to miss the bond, but don't forget the disrespect. Don't forget how you were treated and how you were disrespected. It's okay to miss that friendship and miss that bond with somebody, but remember how they treated you. Remember how it made you feel.
Hold yourself accountable for how people treat you, and keep it pushing. And that's all I can really that's all I really got.
Yep. Sometimes that's all you can do.
Yeah. Pour one out for the homies. Remember the good times you had together.
Mm-hmm.
Open yourself up to new friend avenues. Surround yourself with good energy. Get what you give what you get. If you're getting cold shouldered and you're getting left on red and you're getting all that stuff, and that it doesn't appear that anything is wrong. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, people go through personal shit. Always be patient with those that are going through some stuff. Yeah. But if they're not going through shit and they're just not fucking with you because you're not wallowing anymore, you're not pulling yourself down, you're not holding yourself back anymore. You are, you know, you're taking your next step, and I've always like reached out and asked, like, hey, I'm taking this step, do you want to take this step with me? And most of the time, like I read a no answer. No, not giving an answer is an answer.
Yeah. You
know, inaction is still action.
Yeah, not doing something is still actively doing something. Or I guess maybe not actively, but you're passively making a decision to not do something or not say something. And that can be very impactful depending on the situation.
Yeah. Surround yourself with good energy and good shit will come through. I've surrounded myself with a great friend group, a great support system, and my life has been making moves outside of that, of course, but like just having these people to share that with means a lot to me as a person.
Okay.
And I hope it means something to them that they get to share that with me. You know what I mean? Like to have, like, be able to look at your friend like, yo, that's my boy. It's so great to watch his life like come together. And like I'm watching like my friends' lives come together.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also like small things too. Um, like not even just supporting something that your friend is doing, supporting something that your friend likes, supporting something that your friends have interest in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes it's real. You find something that you like it too, like, and you would have never fucking realized, like
Like
take
K-pop.
example of me showing
Yeah.
you K-pop. Yeah, that's actually exactly where I was going with this. Like, I wouldn't think that you would have ever expected to actually like K-pop, and then I was like, yo, like, I feel like I don't really have many people to, or anyone hardly to, you know, share this with, because I'm really big on music, and it sucks not having that person to do that with, and it's really.
I legit
I w-
remember like
I
when you
wouldn't.
showed me, you were like, Thomas, listen. No one gives a fuck about K-pop. I have no one to talk to
Really.
about this. Like, can I play Rhythm Bot and you actually listen to the music? And I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And then like that turned into you're sharing your screen and we're like talking about the music and like
Watching music videos
like I
and
don't
listening.
like I don't keep up with like the groups and stuff because like I've never been that kind of person like to keep up with like
Yeah,
all the
keep
bands
up
that I've
with, like,
ever
their
listened
lives and
to.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But like
I have been, like, I mean, even with like Attila, like I used to always like keep up with what the fuck Franz was up to. Like, what was he doing in his life? What's going on with him and his ex now? um, them having kids and whatever, um, shit like that. But it was really like, I don't really know if like wholesome or heartwarming is the right word, but I mean, it was definitely nice to have you be like, yo, like, I really fuck with this shit. And like now it's something that we have in common. It created another bond that we have, something that we can talk about together and enjoy together.
I mean, like take Refine for example. Like Refine and me literally this morning sat and watched anime.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've watched a little bit of the anime that he's watching, but like he was like, "Yo, Thomas, come watch this with me." I was like, "Okay, sure, whatever." And then like I'm asking, and I think like being in the position for you to share, which is like I am less informed, so therefore you can share stuff with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like being in that position makes you happier to be able to share.
Yeah.
Like, and Refine was in the same position, like talking about the anime, telling me about like, oh, this episode's sick. This is what's going on. This is telling me the storyline or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was a really like wholesome experience to have with him because like one, he does not watch anime. This is the first anime he's ever really like invested himself into.
There's a new episode of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh shit. But I enjoy having that dynamic with my friends. Like
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to just talk about video games.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to just talk about whatever. Like we can have experiences of like, yo man, these people at work. Yo man, this girl be playing games. Yo man, I'm about to get a lead. I'm about to get a lead position at work.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I'm here for that. Like I'm here.
Shit like, yeah.
Like I'm here for that shit. And I'm glad that out of all this shit, like that's where life is now. We have a lot more positive to share amongst us than negative.
Yes, I agree. Oh, definitely a lot more positive, which is good.
And hopefully it just keeps going up from here, man. 2020 started on a excellent note for me.
Same.
Because I had
And
my
then now it's gradually coming back up.
like I had my son a week before my birthday, and then on my birthday Breonna Taylor was shot. And then, March 13th, I think actually was the first day of implemented quarantine in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm probably a little mistaken, but To my knowledge, it was about that time. And then I went on leave for 6 weeks from work, so I was in my house anyway. And like you hear about the shit happening outside, like, yo, they're making us wear masks. Yo, we're only doing this. Yo, like this shit's crazy.
You know, imagine other countries have already gotten rid of it.
Yeah, right.
Have it.
And then the summer months were really, really shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which New Year's this year we have to do a special edition of like, yo, 2020, what the fuck were you of the podcast?
A recap.
A recap of like, holy shit, brother. Especially if this final vote for Biden goes through, we can talk about like the
new president,
the wild shit that
and
was this fucking election.
Black and Indian woman as vice president.
And yeah, she's
That's like 3 things in
yeah, it's wild.
First woman, first black person, and first Indian
to be the vice president. Yes,
to be vice president. Yes. Which puts a step in the direction of potentially having a woman as president, which I mean we almost did 4 years ago, but it further opens that door.
The margin is getting smaller.
Yeah.
Got any closing thoughts, Jacob?
No, I think we covered a lot. We talked about a lot of deep shit. I thought about a lot of, well, maybe not necessarily deep, but real. A lot of real shit.
Yeah. Probably next week's episode, while we're drinking, we're probably just going to want to talk about Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Because the expansion comes out on Tuesday, and I'm actually hype for
Destiny.
it. Yeah.
Talk about maybe we'll see some developments in season 5 of My Hero.
Ooh.
Because they did release a trailer.
And also, we going to be drinking.
Also, we're going to be drinking. We're going to be lit. We'll talk about Destiny and whatever the fuck else. Closing thought, don't be an asshole. Try not to be. Or be an asshole when you need to be. But also realizing when you need to be. Just, it's not something that you can do immediately. It's something, everyone has to work on. That's all I got.
Closing thought is always strive for better. Do your best. Be kind to those you care about.
Mm-hmm.
Be empathetic. Have empathy. Care about others.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a self-centered dick fuck.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, boys. Catch you on the flip side.
Yeah. Bye, stream.
Goodbye, friends.